everybody. Welcome to the Something New show, where we like to learn how to live a life worth celebrating. And I'm Mindy Linscomb, your host. I am excited to introduce my guest here, Brianna Keefe, who's in the studio live with me today inside of our beautiful bridal showroom. And I'm so glad that you're here from DC.
Yes.
Visiting us. And so let me read you a little bit about her bio because she's very interesting. Brianna Keefe is the founder and CEO of Washington, D.C. based gourmet toast and juice bar called Toastique, which I'd just like to say has an awesome location right below my store. She has an extensive background in the hospitality and catering industry and earned a hospitality degree from James Madison University with a minor in business. But during that time, she was also a D1 cheerleader, which maybe we might get to that. After college, Keefe spent some time working as an event coordinator for a hotel in Washington, D.C. before deciding to take control of her own destiny and follow her dream of opening her own juice, smoothie, and toast restaurant. She was recently listed in Forbes 30 Under 30. She is passionate and driven leader, managing all corporate-owned Toastique locations and providing training and insight in the development of new locations. Toastique has 6 corporate units open and 62 units signed. That is a fast growth. And how long have you had this company?
July will be 5 years.
In 5 years, you're telling me you have almost 70 locations?
Yes.
Brianna Keefe, girl, tell me how that happened so quickly and efficiently. Let's start there.
Yeah, so the first store opened in July of 2018, and it was truly just, my vision was to open a store where it was my own business. I knew I was passionate about it, and I would be happy going to work every day. My previous job, I was just getting super burnt out. But as soon as we opened the doors, the feedback was just overwhelmingly positive, and so many people were like, how do I open one? You need to come here. Come to my hometown. Like, everyone was just thrilled about it, which is when my team and myself had to figure out what was going to be our growth strategy. And to me, the answer was franchising, because there's so much detail that goes into Toastique, from the construction down to the presentation to we're making everything in-house. Our juice, all of our toppings, avocado smash, pickled onions, peanut butter, everything's made in-house. And if someone has their own time and money invested, in theory, they should care as much as me, versus a manager who, doesn't matter how well you pay them or treat them, they're just truly not going to care as much as someone with skin in the game.
So I'm assuming you were not an expert on franchising when you were a restaurant entrepreneur.
No.
So what was the next step? You're like, I think we should franchise this.
Yeah. So we actually opened a second location 9 months later in 2019 because we were like, okay, we did one store, nailed it. Let's open a second store. But while we're doing that, let's start to get together our franchising documents and everything. It's a very long process. It's like almost 12 months just to get all the legal aspect, the marketing aspect to really go live.
And that's something you did on your own. You did not hire a firm to get your franchising documents ready.
So funny story, how we landed on our franchising attorney is because one of the customers that was like, you need to open more. If you're going to franchise, I really recommend this attorney from New York. And we reached out to them and love them. We still work with them to this day.
Wow.
Which is pretty crazy. So
the lawyer that you hired really essentially helped you in that 12-month process create all of the legal franchise paperwork.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I had no idea what I was doing. So we're like, and they were a franchise attorney. So from their experience, really guiding us on what we need to have in there, what he recommends, what we don't have to, but really leading the way on how to put that document together.
I love that. Okay, so then 12 months later, you have all your documents, and I know you've spent a lot of money at this point to create all of that. So what's next?
Next is we go live. And with all of that, we're posting on Facebook and Instagram, and also tapping into the broker network. And we are partnering with a consulting firm who created all of that marketing material, and also I always say does like the dirty work of filtering through all those applications and doing the first initial calls with them, making sure they fit with Toastique financially, personality-wise, before they even get to me. So we partnered with them and we started having calls, which was super exciting. And
Of people interested in opening a franchise of your company.
yes.
Got it.
Yes. So the first few calls were just like regular phone calls. And then immediately after, I was like, these need to be like video calls, because I feel like I'm very much a people oriented person. And I feel like I can just get to know someone better, even if it's through a video call, by their body motion and kind of just like how they're talking.
And how old are you at this time when you're interviewing your first applicants for your own company's franchise?
It was in 2020, so I would have been, wait, how old am I now? 26. I was 26.
You were 26 years
Yes.
old, interviewing people to start a franchise in a company that you've already proven and spent a whole year already doing all your paperwork.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So while still running your 2 locations.
Yes. Yeah, so we had only 2 locations in the beginning of the pandemic, which is also 2020 is when we really took that year to get all of our documents together. And we opened our 3rd location during the pandemic, which we took over a juice bar that failed and went in there and opened it. And we were like, do we want to do this? I know this is super risky. This juice bar literally just went out of business, but our team was only every person, we didn't lay anyone off, but they were only working like 1 shift a week, where we had all these full-time people. And I truly believe in our brand, and with the pandemic, people eating healthy, that we opened the store of July of 2020 in the middle of the pandemic, and it brought everyone back to work full-time, and even had to hire a few extra people. And with that, we're like, I don't want to say we're pandemic proof, but a little bit, that, if we made it through that, opened another location during the pandemic, that this brand isn't going anywhere.
Yeah. So you had 3 of your own, but now you're starting to vet people that might want to expand from DC area, right? Mm-hmm. You already had 3 there, yes. But now they're calling from across the country, right?
Yes.
So where were your first few stores and applications, success stories?
Yeah, so our first unofficial one, which I say unofficial because it's my partner Kyle's sister. She was really our first franchise, but we were there for 2 months straight. Like, it was pretty much a corporate store that she owns. But our first true ones that came through the system were ironically in Colorado.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Yes.
And actually, our first 3 were in Colorado, ironically.
Wow.
Colorado Springs and the suburbs of Denver.
Yeah.
But now we have some in Florida and 2 in Utah and Hoboken, New Jersey. We just opened one in Maryland this weekend. So we're truly just looking for the right partners, and then wherever they're located, working with our real estate team, and or if they have someone local or a family friend, to find the perfect location for a Toastique.
So do you feel like, it sounds like your story was a little bit more this evolved as it was growing? It wasn't like you were like, one day I'm going to own a franchise of restaurants. That was not on your vision board?
No.
So you're like thinking, I'll have a job.
Yes.
Work 9 to 5 or whatever, hospitality, work on the weekends. But then that little spark was, I'd love to own my own restaurant. Yes. And after it was successful, it evolved into this big, huge entity. Is that it, like, kept growing as you did it?
And even still, and we're still opening 1 corporate store a year, because I love corporate stores, and I just love being in the store. That's not where my time is most valuable, but I love being in the store. Like, I love talking to people. I love coaching and training the employees. But, I should be doing bigger and better things a little bit. With franchising, it's even in the beginning, I was like, is this the way to go? Trusting someone else with my baby and my brand that we work so hard with. And really just figuring out the pros and cons of doing all corporate stores or franchising. And I'm happy we decided with franchising, and I think we're trying to really redefine the word of franchising as well. Maybe not redefine it, but we're not doing the stereotypical things of just blowing up and losing the sight of our mission and the quality which makes Toastique so special. And having local artists do our feature wall, and having local coffee and local bread and local kombucha and local produce in these stores no matter where we go.
So really still tying into the community in which you serve.
Yes.
I love that. Okay, so I can imagine that even though it sounds like a Cinderella story, I can imagine that there may have been some trials or bumps and bruises along the way. What are some that come to mind that you're like, actually, this happened? It wasn't just that easy.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not that easy. And I think especially with franchising too, like I'm a very trans person and like genuine person, I feel, and that's how I want to kind of share Toastique. And like, we're not on sales mode. I'm like, you are going to be running your own business and your own restaurant. Even though we're not cooking, we're making everything in scratch. So like all the prep is made in-house. So you just need to be on top of it, on top of inventory, building a team. Our first biggest learning lesson is for Kyle's sister and husband who ran our first franchise before they came to training in DC. Give them all the recipes, the handbook. I was like, study all of this. It's going to make your life a lot easier. They came knowing absolutely nothing, and I was going to lose my mind, like starting from a blank slate. And I'm like, we have so much to learn, and you're only supposed to be here for 2 weeks. They ended up having come back for another 2 weeks. So since then, we created an LMS system online with a video from 2 different angles of all of our products being made. So you can see like the height of the toast and like how exactly it's supposed to look, all of it being made. And then there's a quiz after that they have to take. And then we have a 50 question, just like frequently asked questions from customers that they study. All of that needs to be memorized. And then you have to retake it when you fly into DC, and you have to pass it with a 90% or better.
Before they waste your time.
Yes.
And you're like telling your sister-in-law. So you wasted a lot of my time. So thanks to you, I have a new system in process.
Yeah, and they know that too. They're like, well, it's a learning lesson for everyone. And I was like, yes. They're like, we helped you. And I'm like, you did. You did. You really did. So now it helps so much. And now, it's our other managers and corporate managers like being the trainers. And we're like, you're coming to DC. We need you to be productive and efficient. And when you have it memorized, then you're just doing like the hands-on muscle memory.
Yeah.
It's so much easier.
Yeah. Now, I think that part of your story being in the Forbes 30 under 30 is probably one of the most standout things about your story. And I'd love to hear how that came to be and how it made you feel.
Yes. Amazing. Long story short, it made me feel amazing because we applied for it, but I was like, you know what? This is probably not going to be my year because I just thought 2023 was going to be that much better. And I actually applied 20 in 2021. And I'm like, we opened a store during the pandemic. We opened a second concept, which was not doing so well during the pandemic, but we pivoted and added breakfast and sandwiches and all these other things. I was like, that's a story. And didn't get it in 2021. And I didn't think 2022 was going to be the year either. So I wasn't going to apply. And the girl who was just in charge of the food and drink category reached out, and she was like, hey, reminder, I want you to apply again this year. And I was like, okay. I was like,
you're like, yes, I will.
Yeah, if you're going out of your way to reach back out. But I was like, you know what? I'm sure she did that to like everyone. And so again, still really wasn't expecting it because I thought 2023 was going to be like the year, and my last year too, that I could have made it. And so yeah, and then a couple weeks, it came out on December 1st, and I think 3 weeks before, they're like, hey, I actually have a totally separate from the list. I want to do an article about the fast casual industry. And I was like, okay, so I probably did make the list, but they're going to do an article because they're doing about fast casual. And then on December 1st, they posted the list along with the article about Toastique.
Wow.
Yeah.
That gives me chills.
I know.
What happened that day in your life? Were you like, I can't believe this just happened?
Oh, yeah. I just like sat and cried all day. And like people were just reaching out. And Kyle was actually the first one. He like woke up at 5 a.m. and he was like, I'm going to check. And it wasn't out. And then the article came out like 5 minutes before the list was released. And he like shook me and he was like, get up. He was like, you made it. In the article, it said one of our listers this year, Brianna Keefe. And yeah, it was just insane. Even like now, it's just like incredible.
What a goal to have in your 20s.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, Brianna Keefe, what's your goal in your 30s?
I mean, my goal in my 40s is to make 40 under 40. I don't think they have a 30 under 30 list, but yeah, it's just truly incredible. And I feel like it helped Toastique kind of get on the map a little bit more on a national level, which is awesome for franchising, because obviously we're doing that at a national level. That
is so awesome. Wow.
Thank
okay,
you.
Well, I love that you chose Colorado Springs because otherwise we would have never met. And so I'm glad that we have a location here, and it is delicious. I actually just ate my lunch from Toastique right before our interview today, so that's pretty cool.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about what's your personality as far as like, do you know anything about your Enneagram or your disc test or anything like that? Do you know anything about yourself when it comes to that? And what do you think were the drivers to become an entrepreneur?
Yes, so the Enneagram, I think. My friend sent it to me, I think, like last year or something, and I'm a perfectionist. I think I was
number one,
which I kind of knew.
You're like, I didn't need a test to tell me that.
Yeah, it's just kind of reconfirmed. I'm most definitely a perfectionist, but it's also, I think that's why, like, Toastique is so detailed and beautiful and whatever, but I know that doesn't always work in my favor. It makes my life a little more stressful because I just care so much, and sometimes it's like too much, and I'm like, it's a restaurant. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Like, it's all gonna be okay.
Yes.
But I do think that, and also my drive, I've always just been a very motivated person and a passionate person. Like, it sounds so silly, but like in cheerleading, like, and in high school, like I went to a very big high school of a graduating class of like 900 people. Our sports teams were amazing. Like, I was just always surrounded by like being the best. I wanted to be the best sports team. I wanted like very competitive. And also both my parents were very passionate people and entrepreneurs. My mom had a little side gig, a little Keefe's Candy Kitchen is what it was called. And it's just homemade chocolates. So good. And my dad was an entrepreneur, had his own physical therapy business, which he just retired. So it's very, kind of surrounded by that, working for yourself, doing something you're passionate about. Like, my dad retired and he's still working part-time as a physical therapist because he just like loves it so much. He's like, I don't know what else I would do with my time. Like, if
he enjoys it.
He loves it so much. And I feel like that's really inherited in me, and they always work so hard. And so I got my first job at 15, and
what do they think of all of this?
Oh, they're so proud. They're so proud.
I wish you guys, I hope you watch this on YouTube, because if you could see the little sparkle in her eyes when she says that, it's so sweet.
Yeah, they were like, we're going to come to every single franchise opening, like all of them. And then they started being like Colorado, and they're like, ooh, this is actually kind of expensive. I'll wait till they get a little closer. But they've been to all the East Coast ones, and they came back out to the Colorado Springs one. They just love to help. My dad was like bussing tables. My mom was on the POS. Like, they love to also be like, oh, that's my daughter.
Yes. Okay, now some people may or may not know this, but you are in partnership with the owner, like as owners of this, with your life partner and your brother, which both of those are family dynamics. So I'm curious, how do you manage those family dynamics in the ownership space?
Yeah, I think honestly we all have disagreements, but the cool thing is we don't have any outside investors that we have to report to. So like if something comes up, we're reporting to each other, and you just hash it out and make a decision and keep moving forward with it. And we all bring a very diverse aspect to the business. So, we all have our opinions, we'll all talk it out, but like if it comes down to construction or something about numbers, we're like, okay, we'll kind of lean on Kyle because this is his expertise. Or like if it's something about operations, they're like, okay, Bree or Sean will kind of have the final say on this.
What's Sean's expertise?
He is operations. Basically, after a franchise opens, He's the point of contact.
Okay.
He really does a little bit of everything. He's been a partner from the start, but he didn't come full-time to Toastique until September of 21. He's a little more reserved than myself, so he's like, oh, we're going too fast, or, I don't know if we should be like taking this leap like this. And then once it's kind of been proven, we're opening more, they're successful, he's like, okay, I'm in. Wow. After me like begging every year.
Well, you very obviously are comfortable with risk.
Yes.
And I think that is a unique trait to entrepreneurs. Not everybody is comfortable with risk, but I do feel like that little 4% of the world that are entrepreneurs, we don't mind it. We don't have a fear or a scarcity mindset about it. We're like, no, I think it's going to work out, right?
Exactly.
Even if we're wrong. We do have this optimism about the risk. So what have you done to kind of like help yourself just stay in that mindset, very positive, that like, hey, you guys, we really should try this. Like, this is more, there's more better outcomes than there would be if we held back.
Yes.
How do you stay in that A game?
Honestly, and that's like something that sometimes people ask me, I was like, what's your greatest advice or whatever? And I always say, you have to be so passionate about something or obsessed. Like, I admittedly will be like, I'm obsessed with Toastique. And it's like, if you truly believe in something and know that you have the work ethic to work as much as you need to make something successful, it'll be successful. Like, and I think that's the most simple thing. I know I'm obsessed with it. I know I'm passionate about it. So let's try it. Let's try a new product, going into a new market, and just kind of training and coaching the people around you. Because you can't expect them to care as much as you, but I know, like, I trust my partners that we all care so much that, I mean, you met them when they're out here. Like, we're all here. My parents are here. Yeah. You just surround yourself with positive, hardworking people.
Yeah, one of the things that you reminded me of is when I hire people, the first box that they have to check is they have to be a super fan of my brand.
Oh, yeah.
And so a lot of companies always ask me, like, how do you, because I coach stores, and they say, how do you find such amazing people? And I'm like, well, I start with being a super fan of my brand. Mm-hmm. And so if they are a super fan, it's like I can teach a lot of the other stuff, but I can't teach you excitement and passion like you're describing about the place in which you're working or selling. So I want you to be, in a way, obsessed with my company, even though maybe you'll not own it, but if just being on the team, advocating and being like the biggest promoter wherever you go. It's like, oh, this is the only place I want you to go. Like, that to me is so valuable as a teammate. So valuable. And then you can train everything,
Absolutely.
So I love that.
And even our first corporate employee, she actually worked with Kyle when they were both in construction, and they worked together for like 3 years, and she's a super fan. Nicole, hi, if you're watching this, we love her. She's like our fourth leg, we always say, because she would eat at Toastique 3 times a week, and she would even like share, like if we had a new opening or something, she would be there and tell her friends and share on social media. And she wasn't even part of the team yet.
Right.
And so when we were looking for that corporate person, Kyle was like, we got to get Nicole. She's like the perfect fit.
I love that. That's a cool story. Can I ask you how you named it? Like, I'm always curious the story. Yes. Yeah.
So it's really, the short answer is just like we're spitball names. Okay. At first it was going to be Toasted, and I saw that it was trademarked in Texas. And I'm like, also that's kind of like boring a little bit. It's going to be like grain and berry. It was going to be, oh gosh, so many. And
oh, shoot them out for me. So Toasted, grain and berry.
Grain and berry. And I'm like, oh, that's like a bakery or like, I don't know.
Yeah. I wouldn't think your concept if you said those words to me. So
yeah. No.
Okay.
And just like the list goes on, and we're like, all of these, like, it's got to be really special. It can't be boring. And so Toastique kind of just came up, and I'm like, Toast Boutique. We're putting a focus on toast. Like, truly, that's what I want the focus to be. And I'm like, it's also unique. And also, if you Google it, nothing else is going to come up. And so, like, no matter if you see it on a shirt or wherever, you type it in and you're going to find what it is. And so, and I love the one word. I thought it was clean and simple, just Toastique. And we were still kind of like bouncing around. We're like, do we like it though? Do we like it? And then we committed to it and we're like, yeah, no, that's the one. We made the right choice.
Oh, I love that. Was that your first location is when you had to make that decision?
Yes. Even in the lease, I think it just says T, like capital T, because we didn't have a name yet for the lease.
So we're renting to T.
Yeah.
I love it. I'd start to think about Mr. T,
Yeah.
all the things. So I was going to say, what's next for you guys? Like you said, you have some more franchises in the queue. Is there any personal exciting things that you're like, oh, I'm looking forward to this year? What's coming up?
There's a lot coming up this year, and I'm super excited for it. My favorite thing, I literally live for like the grand openings. I do. That's obviously my favorite part, even though they're a little stressful because everyone's kind of new, but corporate team's there. Everyone walking through the door is, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a first-time customer, and just being there for that, seeing their expression and how much they love it. I love it so much. I actually just had to miss my first opening this past weekend, and I was like, never, ever again am I ever missing an opening. I had the worst FOMO, and it just made me so upset. Like, that's the most exciting part, especially for the franchise owners and me, and I just love it so much. So we have like 10 slated to open by the end of the year.
Wow, and where will they be located?
We have Nashville,
Ooh.
which I'm super excited about. 2 in Florida, Sarasota and Tampa, which the Tampa one, if I had to choose a favorite, I'm most excited for that because they actually visited our first location in DC and reached out to our broker to see if we could come down to Tampa in this brand new development. It's called Water Street. So they were going to other like wharf-like areas, which one was in DC where we are located, to try to find cool businesses to come. And so they reached out and asked if we would come, and we actually have a franchise owner in Florida. So we got this amazing deal on it. It's a corner spot. It opens to a lobby of super luxury condos. And it's been a long time waiting on that. So I'm super excited for that. That'll be in like May or June. But then we also have another one in Maryland, another one in Colorado by Cherry Creek. And yeah.
Wow, you have a busy year.
Yes.
Okay, and then personally, what are you looking forward to this year?
It's hard to like separate my personal life from my business life because it's literally the same.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm just excited and like you said, I'm like working with my boyfriend and my brother. So it's literally all one. But it's so fun traveling to all the new stores and being part of that. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. Do you have any hey, this is my daily routine. I have to do these 3 things every day in order to stay fresh or to stay, engaged with what I'm about to produce because, it's a lot of pressure.
Yes.
Being an entrepreneur. So do you have anything like that you say, oh, I got to do this?
I honestly don't. And I wish, I wish that I did. Even like I'm just always like, on the go, ready to be on the go, and I'm like, maybe I should do yoga to kind of like relax or meditation, and I'm just like the whole time I'm like, I have so much to do. Like this is not helping me.
Well, and you're still in your 20s. So.
Yes, and so no, I really don't, as bad as that sounds, but I don't mind it either. Like I'm just always have so much energy throughout the day.
Well, I'm really inspired by your story. I think that just for people in their 20s listening, going like, oh, is it possible? Or even later in life, like to see the amount of growth that happened in just 3 years is crazy.
Yes.
So, it's never too late because 3 years to grow a whole little empire, pretty fabulous. So I'm proud of you. I'm inspired by you.
Thank you.
And I'd like to bring us to the part of my show where I let my guest introduce me to their favorite drink. So can you tell us what drink did you pick today? We're going to pull it out.
My favorite drink is our Heartthrob juice from Toastique. And I promise I'm not biased. But this is our spring seasonal juice that we actually just created last year. Not only does it taste so good, but also there's like a little story behind it where we needed to create a new spring juice. And this was the most collaborative on a recipe we ever have been, where we had all the managers and team members in DC create this together. We would just blind test a few combinations. Everyone pick their favorite, give opinions what there was too much of or too little. And it was a very collaborative recipe, and it was so fun.
Okay, what's in it? What's inside?
So it's pomegranate and fennel, which is unique to our menu. We haven't used that in any other drinks before. And lemon, pineapple, apple, and mint.
Wow. And is this true? This is something I heard about Kyle, that he only juices during the week.
Yes.
He does not eat food, and he only juices from Toastique.
Yes.
He drinks your juice during the week, all week long, and then eats real meals on the weekend. Is that right?
And beers.
Oh, yeah. There's that.
Yeah, but not always, but frequently that's what he likes to do. And he's the numbers guy, so he prefers like the older juice. Like he's like, I won't drink the fresh juice because that's for the customers. He wants the stuff that is
about to expire or whatever.
Yeah. And I'm like, taking one for the team.
That's hilarious. I love it. Do you know of other customers that do that juice like strictly from your company?
Yeah, we have a lot of customers. And a question we get often is if we do like juice cleanses. And we honestly have been so busy kind of just with growth and doing other specials that we never took the time to like sit down and make different type of cleanses. But we offer a discount for people buying 6 or more bottles because there are a lot of people that want to just pick it up once or twice a week and just juice.
What kind of juice would you recommend if they're going to do the cleanse?
Definitely Balance which is also Kyle's favorite. It's our lowest carb, lowest sugar because it's all green veggies and all of them, spinach, kale, celery, cucumber, ginger, parsley. It's really good, really fresh. And there's only a little bit of green apple in it. We actually only put 8 green apples to make like 2 gallons.
And you guys make that on site?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's awesome. So we juice every day and really just kind of, which you may or may not know, offer it in like bottles for the grab and go, the juice cleanses, but then also on tap too, where I think that's very unique. I've only ever seen one other juice place in New York City do it, and you can give samples at every single juice, and juices aren't cheap. So being able to offer a sample to find a juice that the customer likes before they buy it,
a whole
is huge.
It is huge.
Yeah.
It is huge. Where can people find you, Brianna? Are you active on Instagram? I mean, there's obviously the Toastique website, which is
Toastique.com.
Toastique.com.
And Instagram is just at Toastique.
Okay, and then what about you personally?
I am just at Brianna Keefe.
Brianna Keefe, and that's Keefe.
Yes.
I love that. Okay, so we're going to try the spring, what is it called again?
Heartthrob.
Heartthrob.
Yes, it's good
by
for your
Toastique.
heart.
Okay, so we're going to do a little tradition. Like I said, we do a little cheers. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Ooh, that is good.
Is that your first time having it?
Yes, it's my first
I
time,
love
and
it.
it's sweet.
Yeah, and we don't add any extra sugar or sweetener. It's just from the fruit itself.
Wow. Yeah, that is very fresh, very sweet, delicious. I'm so glad you're here today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I just want to say, if you guys enjoyed this episode, please give it a like, subscribe, join us on Instagram at The Something New Show, and we hope we see you again. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the show, rate, review, and share with a friend. Also, follow The Something New Show on Instagram and Facebook. If you want a fuller experience, watch the show on YouTube to help you create a life worth celebrating.